Hi, my name is John Rodriguez. Most of you know me as Dandy. This is a series done by LP called LP Stories. This is episode 34, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. And you're invited to make comments or ask questions, okay? And I'm going to talk a little bit about myself first, and then I'll be joined by other people later on. So, my history with LP starts maybe 1962 when I meet Martin Cohen, before LP was LP. LP started in 1964. And I was playing at the Palladium with Tito Puente in 1962 when Martin Cohen was going around clubs asking questions, taking pictures, and trying to know more about the history of the Latin percussion instruments. His first love was the bongo. And we became very, very friendly, and so friendly that I used to go to his house. This is all before LP was LP. It's like 1962, 63. And then LP becomes, in 1964. And we've been friends till today. We go back a long way. I was born in New York City, in Spanish Harlem, and in Barrio, on 109th Street between Madison and Fifth Avenue. I went to school, junior high school, Patrick Henry, on 103rd Street. I studied drums there. I actually played in the school band, drums. This is before I played bongos or conga or timbal. I took up drums. I also studied piano way back when I was a kid. So that helped me a lot later on with music and stuff. I was fortunate that my mother and father were in the industry. My mother was a great dancer, very popular with musicians, and my dad did what I'm doing now, playing with all the bands. My dad actually played with Tito and Tito Rodriguez and Tito way back in the day, in the late 40s, early 50s. It was a big part of the scene back in the day. And I was fortunate that in my life, I always had music in the background of my house. My dad had a great collection of music at home. I was constantly hearing great music. So although I was a young kid in that barrio doing doo-wop like everybody else was, in my house, there was always in the background, Aragón, Cachao, Junto Casino. That's what I heard in the background of my house. So the love of the music was there. I something that I loved. And in 1958, 59, I must have been 12, 13 years old. My dad got offered the gig with the Stan Kenton Orchestra in California. We were living in El Barrio. My dad got offered the gig, and my whole family moved from El Barrio to LA. So I went to LA, finished junior high school there, and went to Belmont High School on Beverly Boulevard in LA, California. And that's kind of where my music starts. My music history starts. I started playing in the school band, again, drums. And then little by little, I started getting interested more into the Latin stuff. And I had met a couple of Puerto Ricans who had moved from New York to California also. And they were involved in music, and we used to go and talk and jam and in the garages and stuff like that. And I remember listening to Machito. I was a big fan of an album called Kenya with Machito. I remember we used to jam and just play along to records back in the day. I must have been 14, 15. But then all of a sudden, I started meeting people. And like I said, I always have to come back to due to my mother, my father. Everybody knew them. It opened my doors because people gave me the opportunity to play and sit in kind of before time at 14, 15 years old. So here I am in LA, 15 years old, I get my first gig with this guy named Pete Martinez, little lounge downtown LA, look like a small, yeah, there we go. It's a picture right there. That's me playing timbales. That's my dear friend Louis Rodriguez, who actually, him and his wife were the first representatives of Latin percussion out in the West Coast, way back in the beginning. And yeah, that was my first gig. And then I started playing around a little bit. And then my father uh, finished his gig with Stan Kenton. We were there a couple of years, maybe 2 years, 3 years, and we moved back to New York. So when I moved back to New York, I started playing with a couple of bands, local bands, nobody famous, nobody that you would know. But it gave me the opportunity to play on Saturday nights at this place called the Hotel Taft, where they would alternate on Saturdays, either Tito Puente, Machito, Tito Rodriguez, all big bands. And I was with a band that was like a house band opening up for these acts. And I was just starting to get into the bongo playing at home, just fool around and, nothing serious yet. I didn't have my own bongos. I had my own timbale. I was playing timbale with this band, not bongos yet. So again, because of the fact that I know Tito and the family and they know me, what I did, I started bringing a pair of bongos, my dad's extra bongos, to that gig on Saturday when Puente would play. And I asked Jimmy, which was the guy in charge of Puente's band, Jimmy, would you mind if I, sit in and just fool around a little bit? They said, of course not. I didn't bother. Oh, before that, yeah, during that time, we're talking about 1961, 62, Tito cut out the bongo player's band. The last bongo before that was Chicky Perez. And then for a while, Santito Colon, which was the singer, would play the guido and the bell. They did not have a bongo player for about a year or two. So now that gave me, the opportunity to be able to come in and sit in and learn. So I started playing, and every time Tito would play on Saturday, I would bring my timbale and do my regular gig, and on my break, I would go sit in with Tito. And I knew what to do. I knew how to play the bell. I knew I didn't bother nobody, but I definitely was not at the caliber of playing with Bobby Rodriguez and Pucci and Papi Canavieco and Gil Lopez and those guys. But little by little, I started getting better. I really put my head into it, and I started practicing and listening to a lot of stuff. And I got better. I noticed it, and they noticed it. I'm a Papi Canavieco, the conga player, which became my compadre. He could tell that I was getting better, and I was actually going out of my way to listen and practice. So from that gig, all of a sudden, I hear them one night talking about they're going to go to Puerto Rico. I hear them start talking about the airport and about uniform and stuff. And I'm here. I'm 16, going on 17. I don't think I was 17 yet. And Jimmy Frazor, the guy who's in charge, he just comes over to me. He said, "John, would you like to go to Puerto Rico with the band?" I said, "Wow, of course." I said, "But I got to ask my mother." I was still living with my mother and father. I was still living with them up in the Bronx. So I go home and I'm very excited. And I tell my mom, they told me I want to go to Puerto Rico. My mother says, of course, Tito. So I did my first gig with Tito in Puerto Rico. I think I'd have been 17. I don't think I was 17 yet. I have a couple of pictures of that. Yeah, this is late. That picture's later on in life. But that's me with Tito's band and Jose Madera. But yeah, so I did the Tito Puente gig for a couple of years. Great experience. Recorded many albums with Tito. Played all over the world. Okay. And then I did that for about 3 years, maybe 62, 63, 64. And in 1965, at the beginning, I get a call from Tito Rodriguez. And called me in my house, but after Johnny, I got a problem, Biting, which was his bongo player, very nice guy, Biting Gonzalez, just got a little problem. And he had a trip going somewhere, and he was stuck for a bongo player. And he asked me if I would want to do the gig. And I always loved Tito Rodriguez's band and the style of the band and everything. So I actually called Jimmy Frazor, which is the guy Yeah, but Tito wasn't the leader, but Jimmy was the one that was running the show. You know, for people who don't know that, Jimmy was the backbone and the guy who held that band together. Tito was up front doing his thing, but the guy running the show, the books, the pen, the calls, that was Jimmy Fedora. So I called Jimmy and I says, Jimmy, the Tito Rodriguez called me and he offered me the gig because we ding, but the ding, whatever. And his answer was, Johnny, you know, it would be a great experience for you. Remember, these are my friends and my parents' friends. It would be a great experience for you to know the styles, the big band, but different styles, good for you to learn how to play other styles of big band. So he gave me his blessing. And I called Tito Rodriguez back and I went. And they were going to Caracas. I remember I called him. He said, yeah, go up to the Bronx, a place called Mel Green's, the shop right underneath the Hunts Point Palace in the Bronx, and telling me Johnny Rodriguez, and they had some uniforms there for me and stuff. Then I went out to his house out there in Queens, along to Little Neck, I think it was, and I picked up the uniforms. And that was a great experience, playing with Tito Rodriguez band. Yes, that trip right there, that's when we went to Argentina, which unfortunately had that big car accident in Argentina. Yeah, that's me and Tito right there, and Mikey Collazo and it's 𝗟𝗩𝗦. That was a great band, man. It was a great band. It was very different. You know, it's amazing that two bands with the same size can have two different feels, two different swings. Just the approach is different. Remember that Tito Puente's band, his charts, his arrangements were made for the band. Tito showcased the band. And Tito Rodriguez band, everything was built, written around him. Because the vocalist, he was a guy in front there. So, you know, you played a little different. Your approach and Mango playing and Conga playing and Tino Mata playing was different. Why? Because you're accompanying a singer, which is different from that everybody's playing at the same time. In Puente's charts, it was definitely much more open. The power of playing. You had a chance to play more. Tito Rodriguez was straight but tasty. Not corny. It was straight, but it was well. It was a disciplined band. Brave. I really enjoyed Tito Rodriguez band. I enjoyed playing next to Mikey Collazo, and I was lucky that 𝗟𝗩𝗦 had just come from to the States, and he was in the band when I came in the band. Anthony Hernandez. It was a great band. We recorded. I did my first recording with him was Tito #1, and then I did a couple of Bolero albums. Then he started recording other people. Remember, he had his own record label for a while. I did with him. I did the album called "Estoy Como Nunca." I did the album with him and Luis Ramirez. I did the album. Yeah, there we go. Palladium Memories, which is a great record of all his hits that he did way back in the day. So it was a great experience playing with Tito Rodriguez. And then he finally decided to call it quits, and we came back from Caracas. I remember in 1966, and we got to the baggage claim downstairs, and he made an announcement that in Spanish. He said, my friends, it's over. This is it. I'll say it in Spanish. It's caballero, esto se acabó. This is it. And when he said that, he said it, and whatever. And he came over to me later, before we left the airport. Said, Johnny, I'll call you on Monday. I didn't know what he talking about. So he called me Monday. He told me that his plan was to move to PR. He was going to make a lounge group, small group, 6, 7 guys. And he was going to have René Hernandez rearrange the stuff and do medleys of all his hits and all this stuff. Not for dancing, for show. He wanted to get into, remember in the 60s, Puerto Rico was swinging with lounges. All the hotels, the Americana, the El San Juan, all these hotels had swinging lounges, and they had different bands from all over the place playing. Okay? So there was a lot of work in lounges in PR, 6, 7-piece groups. So he did that. He told me, Johnny, I have 3 months at the 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦 Hilton. I said, wow, that sounds nice. So I said, what kind of group? No, one trumpet, one sax, rhythm section. Wow, okay. So he wanted me to play conga. He liked the way I played conga. I used to put on conga. He liked the way I played conga. So he wanted me to play conga. Believe it or not, the timbal player that we took from here to Puerto Rico was Juan Martinez, which is Eddie Martinez's brother. He passed away. And not too many people talk about him. He was a very good drummer. He played jazz and stuff. And the piano player was René Hernandez. He hired Johnny Segui, the old-time bass player living in Puerto Rico, from the Conjunto Los Dandy. Johnny Segui, René Hernandez, myself and conga, Juan Martinez, and a trumpet player Dominicano called Beltré, very good trumpet player. And some saxophone player that Mario Rivera recommended was Mario couldn't do the gig. He was touring with somebody. So that was it. It was a 7-piece group, and he had all those songs put together, the medley of 3, Cuando, La Paloma, and medleys and medleys and medleys, and tons of medleys of boleros. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. So we did that, and it was great, great, great. And he tells me, this is it. This is where I'm going. And I didn't know then, I know now, that he already was planning his house and the thing with the Japanese house that now it belongs to 𝗟𝗩𝗘𝗦's office, Santa Rosa. So he had his plan already. So I was lucky to be part of that. Then the gig was over, and he said, Johnny, I got another 6 weeks, whatever, at the Flamboyant. But I already had been out, and as much as I love Puerto Rico, I was pretty busy in New York, and I was doing a lot of recordings, a lot of sessions, and I didn't really want to do another long run in PR. So I said, I love you and thank you, but I don't really want to do that again. So I passed on the gig, and I think I was told he used Luis Miranda on conga after, which I was very happy. And he kept on doing it for a while. Then he wound up, living there in his TV show, and the rest is history, But the nicest thing about that is that we stayed friends for years. And every time he came to New York to record an album, he would call me. He even called me to get the guys. I remember we were going to do the album of 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦 and Tito Rodriguez. He said, Johnny, you want to play conga or you want to play bongos? I said, I may play bongos. And then during those days, Frankie Malavé was the best thing out. Frankie was hot. So I got Frankie on it, and definitely Mikey 𝗟𝗩𝗪𝗓. So I did that, and then he called me for the Palladium Memories, and I played conga that. Manny played bongos, and Mikey played timbal, And Estoy Como Nunca the same. Estoy Como Nunca was Manny, bongo, me on conga, and Mikey 𝗟𝗪𝗪𝗓. Yeah, so it was great experience with Tito Rodriguez. And then that was over. And then now we're talking about 1968, 69. I went back with Puente. I went back with playing conga. I played with conga a couple of years, maybe 68, 69, 70. And then, that's a great picture. That's one of those shows at the Apollo, which they used to do all the time at the Apollo. Great shows. That show is, you see Symphony Sid, you see the Joe Cuba Sextet, you see Mongo's group. I think La Lupa's on there. Arthur Prysock, great times. So I go back to Tito till 1970. In 1970, I'm playing a place called the Pan Am. We used to play every Monday night at the Pan Am with Tito in Queens. I get a call in the window on a break in the kitchen. Somebody says, "Is there a John Rodriguez here?" I said, "Yeah." I take the phone. It was Ray Barretto. Ray Barretto. Hey, John, what's up? I said, no, because I'm calling because Tony Fuentes is sick. Tony Fuentes was the bongo player many years with Ray Barretto's group. Very good bongo player, good friend of mine, very good. They were going to Curaçao, Martinique. They had a trip like the following week, and he got sick, and in fact, he never really recuperated. Hopefully, he's better now. But the thing is that Ray's band was super hot. They had just done Yes, that's the band. Great group. Great group, was very hot, working a lot. They had 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦, Louis Cruz, Andy Gonzalez. It was a monster conjunto. And I love that band. So again, I tell Jimmy, Ray called me that they need a band to play this stuff. And he gave me the blessing again. He said, John, you want to do it? Experience, go for it. Go for it. So I took the gig, not to take it as a steady gig, just to go cover for Tony. So I did the gig, and I had a ball. I enjoyed the band. They enjoyed me. And Ray said, it looks like Tony's going to be available for a little while. The gig is yours if you want. And I stayed there. 1970, 71, 72. I recorded, I think, 2 or 3 records. I think we did the album The Message and one called 𝗟𝗩𝗦𝗘𝗦, I think. I forgot the name of the record now. But we did Cocinando. We did a couple nice things there. The band was hot. Ray's group was hot. Very creative group. He gave us a lot of room to play because he was a percussionist. So it was great. But then I was there till 72. Then, to make a long story short, I got offered a gig. I got offered to promote a place on Monday nights, a restaurant called 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦. And I started doing this on Monday nights. And it's a jam session. I actually took the door with the owner. We split the door. Just for fun. We were working fine with Ray. Everything was beautiful. It was just going to be a Monday night jam at a nice restaurant. But that thing took off so fast. It got so popular so fast. And it was happening. I started bringing different guys. I remember bringing Oreste one time, maybe Nicky one time, my friend 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘𝗦 one time, whatever. It was just great. But then, after a few Mondays, I saw that it felt better with certain guys. So I started keeping more or less the steady guys. And it started sounding like an organized jam. And it was great. And then the owner tells me, he says, John, we're doing great with this Monday. Why don't we try a Sunday afternoon, like a matinee, maybe? This, we're in the East Side here. A lot of Americans that don't go to Latin clubs and stuff might dig coming out in the afternoon to hear some nice Latin music. So we tried it, and it was nice, great. So now, remember, we're still working Ray Barretto. So now we're working Monday nights and Sunday afternoon. Okay, no problems yet. So we're doing that. We continue working, and just like that was presented to me, this other man comes up to me at the club on Monday night. He says, "My name is whatever. I have a club up in the Bronx, Pelham Bay section." He says, "Called the Joker's Wild or something. Joker's Wild, something like that." He says, "I'd like to try this, man. I have a dead Tuesday. Nothing happens on Tuesday. Then we could try this up there." I went up there, checked it out, I had dinner, and beautiful place. And we tried it, and it was happening. It started happening. So now we're working Sunday afternoon, Monday night, and Tuesday, and still working with Ray Barretto. Okay, so now by this time it's already a couple of months, and already the gossip in the street. No, that Johnny's taking Ray Barretto's band, and that the band's gonna break up, and all this baloney, which wasn't true yet. Then, okay, it happened later on, but during those times it wasn't happening yet. So one night, Pacheco comes in on Monday night to hang, whatever, and he liked what he heard. We were burning there. Monday night we were burning. We had heavy duty jam sessions. Everybody and their mother was there. The place was swinging, packed, tons of energy. And Johnny says to me, "Johnny, really me, you want to record this?" Remember, this is 1972, and Fania is hot. Fania is the thing. Everybody and their mother trying to record with Fania, and he's asking me, "Do you want to record this?" And I said, oh. So I had a meeting. I spoke to the guys. We came to my house up in Rockland County, and we decided to keep it going. And make a long story short, that's how 𝗟𝗩𝗘𝗦𝗡 was born from that. That's 𝗟𝗣𝗩𝗘 right there. That's the back wall. And if you see on my conga there, it says por fin 𝗟𝗩𝗘𝗦𝗡. And that's how that's the beginning of that. And that happened at that club. And we kept that going. We kept that going for a while. And yeah, it was great. We had a great run. And during that time, I was really very popular with Johnny. I mean, not popular, it was the wrong word, excuse me. He used to use me for all his recordings. I became like the in-house conga player for Fania. I was doing then sometimes 2 or 3 sessions a day, meaning, excuse me, Pacheco in the morning, Imai Quintana in the afternoon, Justo Betacora at night, Celia the next morning. It was a constant thing. Remember, they were the hottest things out there. Yes, they were recording every day, 3 or 4 people a day, and those '70s, were really uh, great for making music. A lot of great music was made in Fania in the '70s, man. And I was lucky to be a major part of it. And that's it. We kept 𝗟𝗩𝗘𝗦𝗡 till around 1979 when, for me, the band stayed out. I left the band because in '79, Martin Cohen decides to create this Latin percussion jazz ensemble, which was a group that was going to promote in Europe and Japan his instruments. So it worked for us and it worked for him because what we were doing, he hooked up with a European promoter, whatever, and he hooked up with, I think it was the Yamaha. I think it was hooked up in Japan, and we did a long tour in Japan. And first we went to Europe first, and we would do the clinics in the afternoon, promoting all the instruments, meaning that whatever we played, we would use the Martin, the 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘, the 𝗟𝗣𝗩𝗘𝗏, the go-go bells, bata. We were traveling with all this stuff and promoting at the same time, making music. So, like I said, it was great for Martin, for the company. It was great for Tito Puente because now we start doing these jazz clubs at night. We do clinics in the afternoon. And Tito Puente, I remember the first big show we did was at Montmartre in Copenhagen, I think it was. And when we finished the gig, Tito, we go back to the hotel room. Tito says to me, Dandy, this is the route we got to take. This is it. This is it. Remember, Tito had been playing with his band at the Corso, the 𝗟𝗩𝗪𝗘𝗏, all these clubs. So now we're playing for this European market, which adored him, loved him, and he didn't know that. It took, him to get out there and see this love that they had for him in Europe. And all of a sudden he realized yeah, that's okay. That's the Brussels Jazz Club. Toots came in and sat in with us and hanging out with us. This is the original Tito Puente Latin Jazz Ensemble. It's Eddie Martinez, Sal Cuevas, Batato, and myself and Tito. And Toots was just sitting in, hanging with us. That's the club we were doing. So Tito sees this world that he didn't know before, and he loved it. And talking about they're elevating the status of the clubs, but also elevating the money. Remember Tito was playing 𝗟𝗩𝗪𝗘𝗏, Casino 14, the Hippocampo, the Corso, which had I don't want to. They had a max that we maxed that out. Tito, I mean, they can only pay so much. And Tito had a big band. So, what, as far as him taking home, wasn't what the man deserved. So now it's time for him to make some money, So now it was great. So we did that first. Then Martin hooks up with Yamaha. And we were there about, I don't know, over a month, maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks. We went to every little city, okay, doing in all these music stores that Yamaha had, instruments, doing a little workshop, a little clinic in the afternoon, and then playing some concerts at night. And it was great. It was great. It was great, great, great. Uh, Tito, again, little by little, he wanted to eliminate the band. Although as much as he loved the band, he saw that this was it. Talking about traveling the world with 6 guys is so easy versus lugging 15 guys, 16 guys. It was so much easier. And the respect that he got in those jazz clubs, in those festivals. We started doing all these festivals. We were doing festivals with Tito Puente and George Benson and Dave Brubeck, with people that, we didn't do that over here in the States, So it was great. It was great. It was great, being with Tito in Europe. Now we're talking about 1980, 81, and then we kept on going. And then little by little, Tito started adding one more guy. He added Alfredo, because Alfredo also did an album for Martin. So Alfredo was added to the picture. They did the Montreal thing, which I didn't go. And Alfredo's in the group. Then he added Mario. So then now it became 7 guys. Then he brought his partner, Jimmy Fazora, and made it 8. And then all of a sudden, one day he gets a bug. He says, because as much as we would do these jazz clubs and jazz festivals, we would always wind up at the end playing Latin music. Okay, he would start off with his jazz stuff and stuff, but the people, they know Tito Puente and they know what he did and what he's capable of doing. So I always want to hear something Latino, So he started getting the agents. We had a guy named Jim Castle out of Berkeley, and then later Ralph Mercado, to have the band also included within the. I'm sorry, not also. In other words, including in the ensemble into the band. So we would all be there. So we would start off with the Latin jazz stuff. Then he would do his little speech about 𝗟𝗡𝗦𝗡, the Santana joke, and then end the night with all the Latin stuff and the salsa stuff, invite people to dance and stuff. So at the end, he had both groups in one. That's how Tito and this thing, with the Latin jazz thing. And then, I said it was great. I stayed with Tito for many, many years after. I went in and out with Tito's band so many times. And then, unfortunately, Jimmy, the guy, died. And then I started running the band. I became the road manager besides playing. We were very busy. The 90s were great for Tito Puente. We traveled the world. We went all over the place. And the prettiest part about the end of Tito's career was that he had this passion for doing his music in a symphony format. He really got the thing. He wanted to do his music. He wanted to have a symphony play his music, his composition. And we did a bunch of them. I don't remember exactly, maybe 5, 6, 7. We did the LA thing. We did one in Philly. We did the very last one where he got sick. It was the Puerto Rico Symphony in Puerto Rico. But I remember we did a few before. I think we did one in Denver. We did a few. It was great to hear his stuff played by 80 musicians, 70 musicians. It was really, really nice. So it was great. It was great. So maybe Jerry, you can join me, Jerry, my LP guy here. Yes, sir. Welcome, Jerry.
Andy, how are you?
I'm fine. I need some help here.
No worries, no worries. You're doing great, by the way. Thank you so much for taking the time and for sharing your story and going through memory lane. This is quite. There's a lot of experience and knowledge put into a short hour, and it's crazy. But I just want to say thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me there. And I didn't mention, I got to mention it, that beside the fact that I was with Martin before Martin became my LP, I'm I'm proud to say that I am the longest living endorser right now, LP. I
That's
think
great.
Martin told me that the first guy we actually signed was Willie Bobo back in the day. And I
Nice.
remember, those guys like Batato, they all signed back then, but they're all, unfortunately, they're all gone. Well, like I said, I was with Martin before Martin became, the LP,
Talk about the original. That's
Yeah,
as
yeah, yeah,
original as it gets right
yeah,
there.
yeah. So we're talking
Yeah.
about almost 60 years.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Before even LP was LP. That's,
Yes, yes,
that says a lot. And the relationship with Martin, can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like how that started and what, how was it back? I know you grew up in Spanish Harlem in El
yeah,
Barrio.
yeah. But
Uh,
he was coming, but I don't know. People don't know that Martin was an engineer. That was his regular gig,
mhm.
And I don't know where he got this passion. Don't know where he got this passion, his love for bongos.
Mm.
It's a picture of him playing a pair of toy bongos somewhere as a young man. I never
Oh,
asked him, where did you get this love for bongos? It's something that he developed a love. And he started
wow.
coming around. He started coming around to the Palladium, and he already had contact with this guy named Betin, a couple of people. And I knew about him. There's a guy now that can help you repair stuff. He was coming around, and his name was getting out there. But then I was playing with Tito Puente at the Palladium, and the Palladium was the hottest spot out. Tito Puente was the
Nice.
hottest band out at that time. And we took a liking to each other. I don't know if I guess he approached me, and we spoke. And then, I remember like yesterday that he was always around with his camera, always with a camera. That was his thing. Always taking pictures and always asking questions.
Yeah.
Which paid off at the end. And my parents met him, and my mother took a liking to him, and he took a liking to my mom. And this is where my family comes in. With my family, kind of made it easy for him to meet people that would have been a little harder for him to meet without help. Okay, because a lot of people didn't know who he was. They know who he
Yeah.
was. What was his purpose there? What's he trying to do with this? What's he looking for? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I, I,
Wow.
I was I was told stories that Mongo didn't want to speak to him in the beginning, and things like that.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't know who he was
Yeah.
and where he was going with this. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right. You're just kind of going with it. But you were a huge influence on the decision, right? As far
Yeah,
as like
in
the
the
influence, the
beginning,
music scene and everything that was happening.
yeah, because like I said, he wanted to speak to guys, and they saw me speaking to Martin, and they said, okay, I guess if Johnny's speaking to him, I guess it's okay, it's cool,
Hmm.
Matter of fact, this, I'm going to jump a little ahead. This week on Facebook, there was a video that surfaced, Martin Cohen speaking about his team body. It was on all week, but people have been commenting all week about it. I had totally forgot that after Martin makes his bongos, makes his congas, now he gets the bug to make timbales, okay? And then it turns out that he knew, I don't know how he knew, and it says it on the video. If you check Facebook, you see it's still up this week, that Tito Puente had brought a pair of Cuban timbales from Cuba, okay? And that Cuban timbal is a timbal that you guys sell today.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah, and what happens is he finds out and he asks me, and I tell him this is said by Martin in the video. If you go to your Facebook, you'll see it. Martin says that he asked Dandy to ask Tito, and I asked Tito, and I went to Tito's mother's house and got the timbal, the Cuban timbal that Tito got in Cuba, and brought it to Martin's house. And the rest is history. And Martin in the video shows a timbal signed by Tito. The
Oh, that's
actual
amazing.
Cuban timbal.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
it's still there, So that's how far back we go back,
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
this was the help, the family,
it's incredible, the relationship between you guys. And then, of course, with Tito as well, because you and Tito go way back, even before Tito Puente was famous. Right. So that's so
Well,
you knew Martin Cohen before LP was even LP, and you knew Tito Puente before Tito was even Tito, Puente we know
yeah,
today.
yeah,
Here's a picture of you and
yeah,
Tito
yeah.
in Spanish Harlem.
That's my dad. That's me underneath my dad, and that's Tito Puente's son, Ronnie Puente, and that's Tito on the right. And that's, I think that's, I was told that's a cousin of theirs or something. That it's not related to me, the girl. That's in Spanish Harlem, right in front of 111th Street and Fifth Avenue.
Wow. And your father was Johnny 𝗟𝗣𝗙𝗘 Rodriguez. There he is, right there.
Yeah. Yeah,
and he was a conguero bongocero too, right? Yeah, he played it.
He did it all. Yeah, he played with Tito back in the day when before Tito Puente became Tito Puente and a band. They were together playing with the Pupi Campo Orchestra. Wow. My dad was a bongo player. Tito Puente was a timbal player. Jimmy Frisora, which is the man that became Tito Puente's right-hand man, was a trumpet player. And Tito Puente decided to take 5 guys from that band to make his first band. So my dad was there from the beginning with the Tito Puente band. Yeah, that's how far we go back.
That's original. I mean, that is.
I tell you that.
Yeah.
My life was made easy because of the relationship with the family.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the Tito was a great dancer. My mom danced, so that, when they were at the club, they were always dancing. So it became a family thing,
Absolutely. That's roots right there. Absolutely. And of course, your Puerto Rican background and how was it in Spanish Harlem? Like with the music scene back in the days, I'm pretty sure like it was a lot more vibrant with, a community was really happening. I'm pretty sure. Right.
Definitely, man. It's amazing that you say that because I remember as a kid going to the bodega, which is a grocery store, like a 7-Eleven nowadays,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you get, okay, that every store had a speaker at the window or outside the door in Spanish Harlem, and you get guys that would play trio music, or you go here, you hear Puerto Rican music, and another store will have Tito Puente's music, another store might have Machito's music. There was constant music coming out of the barber shop, out of the grocery store, out of the butcher shop, all over the place. That's the way. And it was kids banging on fenders in the cars and stuff. Yeah, it was a lot of energy back in the days.
Oh, man. Yeah. I had a couple of conversations with 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗧𝗢𝗥 when he said the same thing. It was always around. There was a couple of guys jamming at the park too. You name it. Yeah.
There was constant jam sessions in the Central Park and stuff like that.
That's great.
It was great times, man. And talking about El Barrio, so many great musicians came out of El Barrio.
Wow, I can imagine. Well, that's where music and community is created. I mean, that's where it all generates from. And I'm pretty sure that's what also attracted Martin Cohen back in the days. That was to hear that and to be there and to see that all happen.
Yeah.
Now, so you played with Tito Puente for 30 years, I think 30 or something.
I was with Tito Puente on and off.
Yeah.
From 1962 till he died in the 2000. So we're talking about 40-something years on and off. I went in and out of that band maybe 5-6 times.
Yeah, interesting. Okay? Wow. And what was like, if you could say there's something that you've learned from all that experience of knowing him as a personal friend, knowing him as a musician, I'm pretty sure it's a whole dictionary, but if there's like maybe 1 or 2 like that to stick out or something.
Well, first of all, I mean, that's my school. As much as I love Tito Rodriguez and Machito, I adore Machito and I adore Tito Rodriguez. Tito Puente was my school. He was such a beautiful person, such a warm person, serious when he had to be serious, and hanging like the best hang in the world to hang with Tito Puente when he felt like hanging with you. We had great times. We used to laugh big time, But when it came time to be serious on the stage, let's do it. He knew when to be serious, and he knew when to fool around. You know what I mean? And we fooled around a lot. We had great times, man. So I mean, he's just a beautiful person. I mean, he's been dead, since 2000, whatever. and I speak about him all the time. You know, he's constantly in my conversations, man. That's
Yeah.
something that
Wow.
you know, it was like a second father to me.
Yeah.
He also became my compadre. He baptized my daughter. So we
Yeah.
godfather. We my godparents. You know.
Wow. Well, you go way back with him, and I do have a question from one of the audience members.
Yeah.
It's from 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗚 asks, why did you switch from conga to bongo? You were also playing congas as well too, but I guess that this question comes from the audience, so maybe you could help answer that one.
Yeah. I went back and forth. You know, when I first started playing with Tito Puente, it was playing bongos. Then all of a sudden, 1960 something, when I go with Tito Rodriguez, he liked the way I play conga, and I started playing conga. And then into the 70s, when I made Típica 73, I was playing conga. And then all through the 70s, all those recordings that I did with Fania, 90% were on conga. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah, and then when we go back to make the Tito Puente Latin Jazz Ensemble, now Batato's there.
Yeah.
So Batato plays with four congas. Now I switch to bongos, and I say that bongos. You know.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I like playing both.
Yeah.
But as you get older, as you get older, it's a drag to lug two congas up and down steps, or from a parking to the club. You know, it was so much easier carrying around a little bag of bongos. You know.
Yeah. I hear it from a lot of musicians, especially the schlep in New York, going through the subway, and then
that all the clubs had these gigantic steps. None of them had elevators, you know. And lucky back then, you would always find a guy that wanted to get in. You say, okay, to help you with the congas and to get in for free. You know?
Right. Yeah. And if you don't have an elevator, oh man, you're in trouble. We have a couple pictures here from back in the 𝗟𝗣𝗦𝗘 sextet, and we would love to show those for the audience as well. If you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, here I am sitting in with 𝗟𝗣𝗦, because during those days in the 60s, I started recording most of the albums with 𝗟𝗣𝗦. I did an album called Coming At You, and then I did a whole bunch after that. I became very close with them. They became my friends, 𝗟𝗣𝗩 and Jimmy Salatel. And that's one of the sessions right there. There I'm, this is 1962, 63. I'm 18, 19 years old, something like that.
Wow.
And that group was super hot back in the day. They were super hot. It was always in the studio, and they were very hot. It was a pleasure recording, being part of that.
And then, of course, following that, you've played with Tito Puente, 𝗟𝗣 𝗦𝗚𝗘. We do have a photo of you with Ray in Brooklyn. Maybe you could tell us a little bit more about your experiences with 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗚𝗘 as well.
Well, 𝗟𝗑 𝗦𝗚𝗘's group, like I mentioned before, was a very interesting group to play with.
Yeah.
It was percussion heavy. Because Ray was a great percussionist, you know, and he gave us freedom to experiment. And Ray had a great taste for picking out tunes for his band. I think I did 2 albums. I think it's 2 or maybe 3. I think I just did 2 records with him. But in those records, you know, we did a lot of playing, a lot of stuff, and I don't think we ever captured on a record what we used to do in live. That band would get funky live, you know, really funky live, you know. Unfortunately, we could never capture that on an album. But I remember great times with that band, because 𝗟𝗏 was in his prime, you know, and Andy was burning on the bass. So just a great band, man.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Great material.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to talk to you about your signature bongos, since that was you showed us a few pictures of what inspired you to create your bongos, and I think we could show that photo right now. There you go.
Yeah, that it's funny, but a friend of mine owns those right now. But those bongos were owned by Mongo Santa Maria. Okay, those bongos are 9-inch hembra. Those are solid shell bongos, I love those bongos. My dad had a pair, and I love those bongos. So when I was given the opportunity to make my own bongo for you guys, I said I want something that looks like that, you know. And
Nice.
I definitely took the size. I forgot the name of the guy who passed away, who made me the Ray and Hoffner or something like that. So
Yes, correct. Yes.
yeah, he's the one that actually made it. You know, he took the picture and he brought me this bongo, which now is mine. It was very close. You know,
Yeah.
it was very close, and I was very happy, and it's been successful. I think the bongo's already out there maybe 10, 11 years now.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
I can say, yeah, I can happily
There
say
you
that.
go.
Yeah, yeah, I can happily say that most of my friends play my bongos. Yeah.
They sound amazing. They're beautiful, and thank you again. Yeah, that's last time I saw you perform was at the Cuban American Festival, and that was fun to see you. And then hopefully I think you're doing that again.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
That's right.
Over 29th.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. It was such a pleasure. Um, And then, of course, you're also doing a lot of classes you're teaching as
Yeah.
well, too.
And
Um,
before we go there, I also have now my bells under my name.
correct.
I had designed two bells under
Yeah,
Dandy. And then after
correct.
that, we just finished making the bongo bag with the
The
wheels.
bag.
The bongo bag with wheels.
Yes.
Okay? So
That
we have
that
three things. We have three things going for me right now with LP.
that's a lifesaver, by the way. People love those
Oh,
bags. It's
you better
great.
believe it. Yeah, it
Yeah,
makes a
yeah,
big difference. We used to complain about that all the time. You
yeah,
know, and
yeah.
you talk about those steps, those 9 steps you got to lug up, you know. So it makes it a whole lot easier now. You know, you can actually drag them, and you don't have to really pick them up like before. You know.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to we Andy Garcia is a big fan, so he loves that bag. So he really it's like, man, it's an incredible bag, and it loves it. And but
Cool.
there's a lot of fans of the John Dandy bongo bag. So
Cool.
um,
Yeah, but
let's see.
yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off before. But you
No,
said
no,
as far as giving the lessons, that's kind of what I'm doing now since this pandemic thing started.
yeah,
I was going crazy, not playing any music, you know. And
yeah,
I took advantage. My son really pushed me to give lessons. I remember him telling me, Dad, every time we play gigs, I go with you, and I see people ask you, "Can you give lessons?" And you never had time. He
yeah.
says, you have all the time in the world now. You know, nothing happening now. You know.
Well, yeah, with the pandemic, everything happening, but things are starting to slowly come back,
Yeah,
and
now. But
oh yeah,
I started this about 8 months ago.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
that's been
from one or two students, I won over 16
yeah.
students.
Wow. That's yeah, and they're from all over, so everybody's from different
Yeah, yeah,
parts of
from different parts of the world. I've been doing advertising on the internet, and yeah, I get great response. So
that's
I hopefully I could still do a few because I created a routine for teaching, which I like very much, and I see that it's paid off well. And I have a few guys that I got beginners. I got them playing. I have them
yeah.
playing really. So it made me feel good. So I'm going to keep on a couple of guys, even if I start playing.
That's amazing. I do have a few questions on from this is from Aaron Knight. Dandy, on your bongo, is the bearing edge sharp?
Okay, what exactly is the bearing edge?
It's the very top of the bongo is right where the drum head and then the bongo, the tip of the bongo connect. So it's the bearing edge around the
I
bongos.
don't think so. I
Yeah,
never. I don't. It's never bothered me.
yeah, yeah.
It's the same feel that I see on all of the mangas, unless maybe you're talking about some are round and this was not round.
Right. Yeah. So I guess that was one of the questions from the yeah. So
I guess that's a matter of taste because you know
yeah.
it doesn't bother me, and
Yeah.
nobody's ever told me that it bothers. You know.
Right. Correct. Yeah. Um, and of course, we do have a video that we'd love to share with the audience. And we could play it right now. You could tell us a little bit more about this. Now, this is at 𝗟𝗣𝗩𝗘.com,
Yeah,
where they shoot all these amazing videos. And if nobody has heard of it, please go check it out. Beautiful.
It froze up. Yeah, that's at Martin's house. I recorded a few things there. I mean, he's doing a lot of recordings out of that house.
Yeah. It's
and
great.
They sound great. The quality is great.
Yeah, he's taking that to the next level. It's really wonderful to see. We have one more question from the audience. What is your take on musicians playing bongos on the stands while sitting?
I don't like it at all. You know, I don't like it. I mean, I guess it's okay. You know, I mean, I actually went to you guys, and somebody there, you know, had me try that. The problem is that I feel that to play conga or bongos, you have to feel the instrument. You have to feel the instrument, because when you play, you don't even notice it. You move. You move. When you play, you're moving. Yeah. And if you you don't have any contact with the instrument, you know, it's kind of like playing up in the air, kind of, you know. I mean, it definitely feels better when you have possession of that conga between your legs, nice and tight, and you're moving it up and down to change the sounds, different tones. Because the guy who knows how to use the conga knows that you can move it up and down and change different sounds, you know. So, you know, I guess it's okay for certain things, but not for playing typical bongo playing.
Right.
It's okay for a little commercial maybe, or to do a little noodling or something. But if you're going to play bongo for real, you're going to play the true bongo playing, Cuban style bongo playing, that's not happening. I don't recommend that. Sorry.
Amazing. I love that. You're keeping it true to what the craft is, you know, and that's the way the guys did it back in the days. So absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful. Wonderful. Dandy, I'd like to close by saying, and to the audience, ladies and gentlemen, once again, the longest living LP artist. Again, he is a huge influence way before LP was even LP. Talk about a true original. Please do yourself a huge favor and learn from the pioneers. Dandy is a true original, a guy who started it all. And that sound will never go away. If Tito Puente was alive today, would you take a timbale class with him? Absolutely. So please do yourself a favor. We have a living legend here today, and what an amazing opportunity, right? To be around the same time as Dandy. If you're passionate about being a percussionist, a bongocero, please take classes. Dandy, where can we learn more about your classes, online classes, and
I think you guys have my email, which is there it is, dandyjr5@gmail.com.
Beautiful.
And I'll get, and I'm on Facebook. I'm all over the place, so I'm very easy to get a hold of, you know.
Absolutely. And again, for everybody watching, if you're passionate about your craft, please do yourself and take a class with Dandy. Yeah. He's a wealth of knowledge. I mean, how lucky it is to have Dandy around right now. It's just, So thank you so much.
And thinking ahead, I plan, God willing, to soon have another bongo made under my name. Maybe a little different this time. Another bell, maybe another tone. So I'm working on ideas in my head. I've just spoken to Derek a little bit. So hopefully in the near future, I have a couple of new things coming up.
There's a lot more good to come, and especially after the pandemic, when things reopen. I'd love to catch a show and watch you play as well. And for anybody out there, don't worry, it'll reopen. You get to see Dandy play. It's definitely an experience.
Okay, guys. Well, I mean, I'm so happy that I was able to do this, and thank you for the opportunity, Jerry. Thank you.
Dandy, thank you so much. Once again, we love you very much. You're a true pioneer. You're a maestro. You're an influence to many. So what I hope to see you either in Vegas or in LA when you visit or when you play out here in the Cuban Festival. Thank you again.
Okay, brother. Beautiful.
Gracias.
Peace.